And hello, my name is Missy Harris. I am the director of the Lincoln County Library System. We are excited to present our next art class, Fused Glass, with Judy Kwong. Judy moved to Wyoming a few years ago and is excited to be teaching students the joys of kiln-formed glass art. Before class begins, I'd like to thank the sponsor and supporters, Lincoln County Library System and facilitators, the Kemmer Senior Center for allowing us to use their space, and last but not least, the Wyoming Arts Council for providing monetary support. If at any time you have a question, please feel free to contact the facilitator at your location. And now, let's fuse some glass.
Okay, welcome everybody to class number 4, Pâte de Verre, glass paste, and modeling clay. The materials that we're going to use today are our paint brushes. We're going to use them first to peel the backing off, the fiberboard off of the back of our glass paste pieces. And then we're going to use them to paint if you desire. And we'll be needing the paints, the paper plate for your palette, a water cup, and please wear your mask while we are taking off the fiberboard because little dust particles from that fiberboard will just be flying into the air, and it's irritant. At least in my throat, it's an irritant. I get a little tickle in there if I don't wear a mask. We will also be using the silicone as our adhesive today, and we need a plastic spoon. So I'm just going to jump right in and show y'all. First of all, I want to say, handle these glass paste pieces with the softest of touch. And I already peeled off half of this. I can pull a big portion off like that, but it still leaves some residue behind. So I just am lightly brushing it with a dry paintbrush. And we do want to get as much of that residue off the back as possible. Okay, and I sketched out my little sun catcher that I'm going to make out of my glass pieces. So everybody put your mask on and please start removing the fiberboard from the back of your pieces. And some of you may be more comfortable holding it in your hand, but you cannot put any pressure on it at all. If you hold it there in your hand, it's just laying there. Or it might be easier just to put it on your work surface. And do it that way.
Judy, how do you know when you've gotten as much as you can get off of it?
Uh, the back of it, the back of the glass will look a lot like the front of the glass after you remove all the fiberboard. You're still going to be able to see some sheen from the glass or the sparkle. But the fiberboard has a very dull, ashy kind of look. So that's how you know. And it's for our technique, it's not crucial that it all comes off. It would be very crucial if we were going to place these on the base of a plate and then put it back in the kiln to refire. But we are just gluing instead of putting things back into the kiln. So, and these scraps can be thrown away. If anything should snap in two, just don't hold on to it, and perhaps when it comes time to glue it to the base, we can just put it back together.
Or we can paint a Band-Aid on his tail.
I have learned a lot from firing all of y'all's pieces. They were very beautiful. And very fragile. Most everybody's made it through the transporting process, I think. But there were a couple that I'm not sure if they were going to or not.
Maybe what made some of them more fragile than others?
What made some of them more fragile than others, I think, is the amount of glass frit that was sprinkled onto it. So I think those who put a thicker layer of the glass frit, it survived much better. And that's something we'll pay more attention to, and perhaps I can be better at giving you some help in measuring the depth of frit you have. And also, I think that we should use even more of the Elmer's glue and wait until your very last layer before we use the hairspray. So if anybody else has any other ideas, then please pass them along. And another thing, if I will have everybody's permission to do this, I will have the frit that is the exact color of white that you have made to make your projects. And with your permission, I will touch things up that need to be touched up with some extra frit once they get to my house. And then after you've removed the fiberboard backing, then you may go ahead and take your mask off. We won't need them for anything else. Oh, and there's an extra little bonus for all the locations. I made dots, red dots, yellow dots, green dots that you may use for holly berries or little flowers or just polka dots, whatever you can dream up. You may use them for that. Before we start the gluing, I'm gonna demonstrate how I like to paint this glass paste. But I'll give everybody a few minutes. Actually, if I could just get a thumbs up when everybody's done getting the fiberboard off the back.
Not sure about saying it.
Okay. One point I wanted to make about the painting is that the glass paste that got a little bit hotter, and I can tell because it's got a lot more gloss to it instead of looking sugary. And I have unfortunately discovered that my kiln is running hot and cold in a few places. So I am dealing with that at the moment. But the glass paste that looks like sugar is just going to absorb the paint. And I like to thin it out with a lot of water. So I'm sort of staining it. But these pieces that got hotter, that are shiny, well, we may have to just experiment if you want to paint that. But they're also really beautiful, just left white.
Maybe see if Thane is ready to go.
Is Thane ready to move on to the painting?
Yes, and maybe ask for a large.
Okay.
That's one of the legs of my little bird. And will you be glued on, or is it gonna be a one-legged bird?
Yes, we have a broken bird leg at our location. And it looks to me that it's broken one piece, and absolutely, when you place it onto your base and then glue it, nobody will ever know it broke off. So.
Okay, I think most people are ready. Move on to painting.
All right. I am putting a lot of water with just a little bit of paint there. And I'm going to attempt to place it on the back of my little flame here.
Everybody should have a little plate in there.
And this is one that got a little shiny, so I'll see how it comes through from the front. So I'm just going to put a dose of paint here on the front because it did not behave. So the shiny one's from the front. But let me.
We have a question about what color should we use?
You may use any colors you want. Yeah, you're open to all colors. That was a flame for one of my candles. That's why I did the yellow. This is just a polka dot, but and it's quite sugary. Let's see what happens. See, this is turning out a lot nicer. It's just absorbing the paint when it has the sugar texture. So if yours has a nice sugar texture, paint it from the back. The reason why I'm doing that is it preserves the frosty, shiny, sugary bits on the front. Otherwise, acrylic paint is gonna have a little bit of a flat finish after it dries. So if you've got a sugary one that you want to paint, go from the back. if it's shiny like glass, then go from the front. And that's because the shiny glass just isn't as porous as that sugary glass. Okay. See, it's almost like a sponge if it's got the sugary texture.
There you go.
Okay. So this tree was sugary. So I painted it from the back and it's got a nice frosted look on the front. I like the way that turned out. I hope y'all can see that because that's capturing exactly what I'm wanting to convey.
Did you mix colors to get that?
Yes, I mixed a little bit of the yellow with that green.
Like mine.
I don't have the tube in front of me, so I can't tell you what the name, but yes. Because it's very much a blue green, just straight out of the tube.
Oh, so you added a bit of yellow.
I added a bit of yellow to that green to make it a pretty Christmas green.
Can we put the dots on the one that we did prior like this or no?
Yes, feel free to start using the dots today.
Then can we put them on this too?
Mhm.
Wonderful.
And we will use the E6000 to glue those dots that I made for you.
I think so. I don't want sit here.
Now I'm wiping some of this paint off. I got a little bit too much. It's also the glassy one, not the sugary.
I do too. Yeah. So we use that to do it now.
And they use silicone as well, or just the E6000?
I would like to save the silicone for the glass paste pieces and the E6000 for the dots. You'll probably understand why, because not only am I going to be using the silicone to glue, I'm going to put a layer of silicone on the back as a protection. It'll strengthen the sugar glass so that if something gets bumped around, it's not just gonna fall to pieces. Thumbs up when everybody's ready for me to start with the silicone.
Still painting.
Okay.
She's got one, I've got one. I don't know if there's
Maybe you wanna just poll each library and see, start with Kimmer.
Okay, Kimmerer, thumbs up if you're ready to move on to silicone.
Okay, ask Thane.
Thane, thumbs up for ready to move on to silicone.
And Labarge
Labarge, you ready?
and Star Valley.
Star Valley, you ready?
They said no, not yet.
Okay.
Judy, is the silicone going to go onto the back of the things before they go on the glass?
Yes, the question is the silicone gonna go onto the back of the pieces before they are attached to the base? And yes, I'm gonna show y'all how to strengthen.
So I'm not gluing that part on yet.
You're not gluing that onto your base yet.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like pretty much everybody's ready.
Okay. I'll just show you with this little Christmas tree. And there's really no need to even wait for it to be totally dry. The silicone's gonna stick to it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a bead. And this is the back side, the side that I painted, the side that's gonna go down onto the glass. So I'm just gonna run the silicone all the way around the edge.
Right. Right. That's what this-
I went ahead and went to the inside too, not just on the edge. I'm gonna put the lid on so we don't get anything drying out. I'm gonna take the back of my spoon. This is sort of like if you were gonna be caulking your bathtub or your sink. I'm using the back of the spoon to spread it. So to make sure that it goes to all the edges. And that is gonna change the strength of my fragile sugar glass.
There's scissors in one of those buckets there.
And then I'm gonna wipe off my spoon so I can reuse it for something else. Now I've got enough of the silicone just from the strengthening process that I'm gonna flip it over and put it right onto my glass base.
We have a question from Thane. Will the candle you have on the base be fired again?
No, I'm not gonna fire any of these again. We're going with the glue process. That is an option though. But we don't have the time or the space to fire everything again. And also, once we paint the acrylics on, we're done. If you put acrylics in a kiln, it's just gonna burn off and disappear.
Question. All right, you were talking about, you painted one side of our little ornament or whatever. And that's the one you want to glue the little circles on the side that you painted. I painted this side.
Yes, is that the
Right.
side you're gonna glue onto your base?
Is that the side? It's got more texture to it than the other side. The other side's the flat side that I took off the backing.
Oh, okay,
So the backing goes on the glass, right?
yes.
Oh, all right, then I'm, okay. I must have misunderstood a minute ago. Thank you.
Yes, the backside, I consider the backside where we peeled off the fiber board.
That's all I need to know. Thank you.
So if you're gonna glue anything onto the front, then don't, you glue it to the other side, not the fiberboard side. And that silicone sets up pretty fast.
On both.
This is the.
There we go.
6,000.
That's not E6000.
This is silicone.
Yeah.
This blue flower, I've already glued it to the base, but it was sugary and I did the paint stain from the back.
Beads, right? Yep.
Yeah, and then spread it around.
So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my candle that's on your screen. And get all these fragile edges that look very lacy. I want to preserve that, so I'm getting the silicone all on those edges. Looks like granules of salt or sugar.
So silicone for the sugar paste pieces on the back and you spread it around.
To put it onto the box.
Correct.
Okay.
And then E6000 for the beads.
The beads onto the glass.
Correct.
Oh, all right.
Does anybody need the silicone right now? Do a contraction too.
Be sure and wipe your fingers off frequently. I learned that silicone does not stick to anything that is soapy, so if we had thought ahead, I could have had everybody put a squirt of dishwashing soap onto their hands and rub it around your fingers like lotion, and then that prevents silicone from sticking. And you don't have to watch, but I've got my candle on with the silicone and now I'm going to glue the beads on. I need to get some of this out. Yeah, watch out for that E6000. Once it starts flowing.
So. Well, I thought it was. That's why
I thought your chicken was beautiful with white, especially with the little purple glass bit on it.
I know.
I think the fire.
Simpler. I just knew I wasn't.
So I am not worried at all that my artwork is not realistic here, or it's the suggestion. The suggestion. So I dropped a little E6000 there. I'm just gonna wipe it off before it.
Yeah, I did. I do. They're so cute.
And I think I'm gonna save my large snowflake for my winter lantern. So while y'all are working, I'm gonna go through the other things I want to accomplish today. That has to do with this class. Okay, we've already worked on our projects and I want everybody to practice cutting some glass. I'll walk you through that in a minute. And you've probably seen the templates that you're going to use to design your glass panels for the lantern. And we can go over that a little bit. And also I'd like for y'all to make some notes, if you would like, about the things you like about these techniques and things you don't. Things we might need to do next time for our final project. But now, just finish your projects for right now. So I'm just talking again, but before I was speaking of trying to find something for little tiny snowflakes falling without being too much of a hassle. So this is actually what I came up with. That's what these little dots are. It could be polka dots, it could be dotted Swiss. Well, the light, you can't really see that, but what I did was I took a square of the fiberboard and I just put dollops of glue I didn't cut each one out. That was too much trouble. So I put dollops of glue and then I sprinkled several layers of the glass frit and pressed it down. Then I turned it over and dumped the excess off in between each dot. And that's what I came up with.
Like a sheet of candy dots.
Yeah, sheet of candy dots. And they can be painted or they can be left white for snow or. Be sure and wash your brushes and get that acrylic paint out of them when you're done with the painting process. Wipe the silicone off the spoon. And I use the tip of the paintbrush to work with the E6000, so I'm gonna wipe that E6000 off the tip of that paintbrush as well.
The use of the river. Sure. That must be the beach, yes.
It's kind of cute. Okay, okay.
We have a question from Fane Judy. They want to know, how do we glue the broken frit pieces back together?
Okay, the question is, how do you glue the broken frit pieces back together? Let me,
You need a broken piece?
I need a broken piece. I'm looking. I'm looking for my example so I can show you.
Here's a broken piece. That sounds broken.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, pretend this is a base here, and I am gonna find, I can see right there, that's where it broke. It fits together perfectly.
Oh, yeah. He's, you know, it's a little bit off, but it's there.
So I would go ahead and work with these two pieces individually and just take note of where that place where they meet. Can y'all, let me get rid of there. Okay. And when you glue it, just push it, put it down. I don't have a glass base to show you, but put it down and then push it together.
And you, so you put the silicone on each individually?
Yes, I put the silicone on each individually and then place them individually on your base, but be very careful to place it exactly where the break was, and nobody will ever know.
We have another question.
Thank you,
Because
Anne.
they had technical difficulties. The question is, can you review what to do with the spoon and the silicone?
Yes. So the idea of the silicone is it gives all these lacy edges strength. And what I did was I ran a bead. I ran a bead all the way around. I'm gonna skip the center on this one. But since you're putting it down on a base, you can go ahead and put it all through the center. And then what I do at the back of the spoon is I work it. I just work that silicone to each one of those little lacy pieces. So that if anything bumps up against it or it hits anything, it might crack, but it's not going anywhere. It's gonna stay right there with the rest of it. Does that answer your question? I'm using the back of the spoon to work it to all that lacy area.
Yes, they look like they're working.
Okay. And then I remember to wipe my spoon off. Okay. Yeah, once you start playing with this, you just never want to stop. Now remember the little bins of dots that I made for y'all that should go for today's projects as well as through your final projects.
Oh, I don't think so. Don't
And don't use all those dots today.
I can just hear you guys right over there.
I will be right from you to try to get some of the seams.
I think I go, oh, I found 3.
Oh, I need 4.
Oh, well, there's 4 of that one.
No, there's only.
All right, if y'all use up all those dots and you want more, you're gonna have to come over to my place and make some more yourself.
There's no dots. Betsy just there, she has to look at everyone.
Okay, it's looking like most people are, I don't know, Paul and Steve, they're ready to move on to 9.
Okay, is there anybody who is not ready to move on out there? Thumbs up, please.
Anything. I'm gonna put a chat in.
Okay,
I'm gonna find out. Finished.
yeah, we have had to work in some ingenuity to work around not being able to fire 30 projects every week. So it's been fun. I hope y'all still like everything.
It's an experiment for everyone.
It is an experiment for everybody.
Or I changed my mind.
And I hope you're enjoying these techniques. It's a lot different than making sun catchers every week.
Yeah.
Which are beautiful too, but it does get a little redundant.
The earrings were nice too. Yes, you have some on today. don't
Yes, I
you?
have my earrings on today.
Nice.
Here, I can. These are some earrings that I made.
Now, I know some of the funnest ones were the ones that we just kind of were experimenting with
Yes.
at the end. We just go, oh, these,
Yes.
you were saying, have fun, and so we were just
That's
throwing
it.
it. And
Yes.
like, she has this beautiful picture.
Yes, glass art is just one big experiment. One big fun experiment.
I did finish my puzzle. Did you? Really? I was thinking of giving you my newest puzzle, but it was a fun. It was all of the scales of White Houses, so none of the colors went really together.
Oh.
It's not like you could put all the blues and the greens and the reds.
Yeah.
Everything,
Just interactive, yeah, or
it was fun.
you know, my,
Is Len using it? Are you using dots or? Take what's the dots? I'm using over to you. Yeah, so I can just search through them. If you want Betsy
my
to
daughter
search
sent a
for
picture.
me.
Betsy's done.
I can show you.
I mean, I'll search for somebody else.
Noise, but,
The beeper's gonna go off when I go through the library.
And I don't know if she's ordered it, but it's Hungry Jack's over in Wilson.
I can't tell Jenny what's happening, so. Whenever, I don't know, I guess ask again if you're ready, whenever you're ready. Are you guys done doing? Everybody over here's done doing this.
We're gonna hide needs.
I know.
How many?
Yes, you're right, Betsy.
You too. I don't know if that's a brochure and it's on color.
Yeah, I know, I've got a couple.
That's what you mentioned.
I didn't even see that one. Maybe she moved them. I didn't even-
Okay, so as you're finishing up making your cute ornaments, I would like for you to pull out the the practice glass. I think I gave everybody a baggie of just clear glass. And I think some of you will have to share, but the glass cutter and the running pliers.
So we're gonna practice cutting, that's what's next.
Because y'all all have such beautiful glass over there that nobody's cut yet. So I want you to, I want you to cut it and use it. I know you're scared. And that's another reason why I made the dots, because you have something to fall back on if you're really terrified of cutting glass.
So,
Okay, so we have different shapes of glass cutters. Some of them are pencil, like pencil cutters that you would hold like a pencil. I don't have that one over here. But this one's like got a bigger handle on it. If you feel more comfortable drawing a line to cut, you can, but it's not.
You want a Sharpie?
Sure. We're getting a Sharpie over here so I can show you.
Is this too fat?
That's great. So if I were doing a project like a plate or something, I would be measuring twice, cutting once, or measuring 10 times, cutting once sometimes. But I'm just gonna freehand it here. Now, here's another thing that I don't have to tell you exactly how to do it. But you can either start at the outer edge and pull it towards you, or you can start closer to you and push it out. But the idea is to put about 7 pounds of pressure when you push down, and make sure there's a little tiny blade here at the tip, but it's also surrounded by all this metal. We want to make sure that it's up at an angle so that the blade is on the glass, not that metal piece. That'll make you have a bad score.
Is that on the rough side of the glass?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Lynn.
You're welcome.
I, it's on the smooth side of the glass. You can feel a rough side and a smooth side. It's easier to cut on the smooth side, although it's possible on the other side too. I'm trying to get this at an angle where you can see, but okay, so I'm starting at the outer end. I'm pushing down with like 7 pounds of pressure or something like that. Can you hear the zip? You should hear a zip. And my line on the running pliers is gonna lay right on top of my score line that I've drawn in black Sharpie. I'm just gonna give it a nice push that broke really easily. Oh, yay! Everybody's having such wonderful breaks. See, it's not hard at all. Okay, I'm checking for the smooth side of the glass. I'm gonna do a couple more tests. I'm just gonna do several lines here.
Mine cracked twice. But I didn't.
That nice little zip sound is what you need to hear.
She did it right.
I know, that's the best I've ever.
I remember I tried one last. It was just.
I don't know.
Everybody feel better about cutting glass now?
No, look, that's not a straight line.
Oh,
Are you keeping a consistent pressure? Because that's also important.
We have a question from Thane.
Yes.
How do we make curved lines or circles?
Oh, let's see. Okay. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. I'm not sure if that's too much of a curve or not. So what I'm gonna do, I don't usually cut this much of a curve. So if it just cracks, then I apologize, but how I'm gonna start is I'm just gonna give it gentle squeeze and it broke off there. But what I was gonna do is I was gonna go from one end and then the other.
There you go.
Ah, there we go. That's a nice leaf shape, isn't it? Okay, so maybe just like a, instead of a zigzag curve, just a, what would you call this? Just one curve, stick with one curve. If that made any sense. Yes, I'm afraid of cutting circles. So y'all aren't the only ones who are a little nervous when cutting glass, especially when you start cutting expensive glass.
What if feeling of satisfaction when that works?
Oh, there we go. Okay. So that cut like a charm. So just stay simple. Kiss and keep it super simple. Yeah, I've got those beautiful dichroic pieces of glass that has the metallic coating. So I want y'all to use those on your final projects. Somehow. Any other questions? Yeah, one thing I didn't say is don't try to go back over the score line. It'll dull the cutting blade. So don't just go back and forth. Don't do that. Just one continuous score.
So you're not using the blade upside down? I think that makes.
This way?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh, okay. So I think I've done it.
Dude, try and stand up, Lynn. Try to stand up and get.
Oh, that's a good point. If anybody's still having trouble getting over, try standing up. Because when I'm cutting in my studio, I am always standing up. That way you are up over the view and you can see what you're doing better.
Get more pressure.
Yeah, and more pressure.
That sounded perfect.
I heard
Lynn.
it that
That
time,
sounded
yes.
good.
Standing up made a difference here in Alpine. Stand up for Alpine. Okay, so after everybody puts away your glass pieces, you can just put all those little bits back into that baggie. And get your tools put away.
Yeah.
No.
I'm your sweeper, if you guys want to sweep your mat.
And one thing I didn't tell you, most locations have a little half circle cotton pad with some pink oil on it. That's to dip your cutting blade in if it's still not scoring well for you. But I think all of these cutting blades have been dipped in oil, not not too long ago.
I like all the personalized. Yeah.
So if anybody has questions after class or during the week or anytime, I did put my number at the bottom of each one of your notes. Unless you already have my number. But also I want to use that for questions, and I also want y'all to take photographs of everything at the end of each class and send them to me. It's hard not being able to walk around and see how the art is progressing. And I would love to see your finished pieces tonight too.
Ultimately, their facilitator can take pictures and email to me. So
Okay. So also, if you don't want to do that, your facilitator can take the pictures and they'll be documented online. But certainly if somebody's asking me something and I'm not giving a clear answer, you can just shoot me an instant text of the situation and we can get it figured out. Because this is definitely not a paint by number class.
That's my problem.
Oh, yes.
We ask people to show their work now.
Oh, sure.
Okay, go ahead and see if Tim or anybody can work.
Does anybody want to show their work on the screen right now? I showed mine.
It's
your
Ask Thane, see if they want.
Thane, would y'all like to show your projects that you worked on today?
We can see that.
Anne's ready.
Are we gonna see?
Oh, hold on, she's gonna bring up Thane.
Oh, good. Okay. Hi, Holly. Oh, wow. I love that.
There.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Is Holly gonna show hers?
Ooh.
Oh, not, oh, look at that. The light is coming through that glass, so it's like magic. It's beautiful. Oh, wow, look at that. Look at those pretty colors.
I like that it was.
All
something else.
right, do we wanna do, let's do Anne's, come to this, or you can go to Judy's overhead, actually. Okay.
Yeah, just show it. Nope. Ooh, look at that frosty tree. That's really beautiful.
Great.
Oh, yeah. Hold it.
Ask if Kimmer wants to show.
Kimmerer, anybody down there want to show your beautiful artwork?
He said, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, that is really cute.
Yes.
Ooh, I like all those stars. All right, thank you.
Let's see if anybody in Labarge.
Labarge, anybody there want to show your work? Oh, look at that beautiful butterfly. Oh, that one's pretty. The snowflakes are pretty too. Hold that one up again. The snowflakes. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, wow. You got some really good detail on that lower snowflake. I'm impressed. No, because I know it's so fragile.
Alright, and then we've got, let me spotlight, Star Valley.
Star Valley.
Does that have anything?
Hi. Oh, I like that Christmas tree.
Nice.
Very nice. See, I get to see the components. Oh, beautiful. I get to see the components as I'm putting them in the kiln.
Oh, but then you don't see them.
I don't get to see the finished project, so I appreciate that. And I know all of y'all do too, because you can be inspired by each other.
Okay, we're back on your overhead.
Okay, back on my overhead. Let's go over the templates for your final project. And everybody should have an exact template of each of your 4 sides. And these are for you to draw on, or if you want to use the parchment paper as tracing paper and play with designs, feel free to do that. I've also just given, not for each person, but for each location, a set of samples that you can be inspired by or not. You can just do what you want. And also, don't anybody be afraid that we're going to be doing 4 panels here in the next 2 weeks. It's a lot of work. So in my mind, if I didn't think I could get 4 panels done, I would say, well, one side would look cute with just a few dots, random dots, but I'm going to put my work, my time into 2 panels, or maybe even 1 panel, and do something really nice and just do random dots or something on the other 3 panels. So nobody be afraid when we think we've only got 3 hours to do 4 panels. Good?
And maybe, so we're gonna spend the next 2 classes making.
Yes, the next 2 classes we will spend making the elements that we've learned through the glass paste and your glass modeling clay. And then I won't fire them till after the 6th class. So 2 more classes, you have 2 full classes.
And then they'll get them back.
You get them back, and then the 7th class, we're gonna paint and glue. And then the 8th class, we will finish painting and gluing and have a student show for the last half.
So I hate to ask you this, but I just found out today I won't be here for the 8th class. Can I maybe come meet you at the barn someday to finish it off?
Sure, you know what, I was just told that somebody won't be there for the 8th class, and people who don't live close to me, we can get photographs of your final project and still show everybody and see what they look like.
So this week, should we draw all of our designs and get our?
Yes, you still have 20 minutes left, so you can start drawing using your stencils or whatever.
You take them home too?
You may also take them home. Just remember to bring them back.
Yeah.
Think about what you enjoyed working with the most out of the 2 techniques and maybe use that more for your elements. And just use the one that you didn't like as well for just embellishments. And you can choose a season, or you can have one season, separate season on each panel. I've seen lots of lanterns like that.
Then you could do flowers and snowflakes. Exactly.
Keep it in your window. Switch.
You can go through.
Any other questions?
Oh, remind them about the molds and everything. They use those.
Oh, absolutely. Don't forget all the texture molds you have, cookie cutters, the Cricut stencils that you have, your own individual mind that you have. And also, if you have a stamp, a rubber stamp, I don't have mine, you can use rubber stamps like stamping art and press it into your clay, and it'll still give you a good impression if you want to experiment with that. So it would be great if everybody would have their finalized ideas down on paper by the beginning of class next week.
Just thinking about it. It's a second thought. I don't know. The season.
Also look around and see how many of the supplies you have left. I think everybody still has a lot of the jars of Fritz. And would somebody please, from each location, pick up the jar of Fritz and with the lid screwed on tight and just shake it? Because there's a little bit of powder mixed in with the fine Frit, and I have a feeling that they settled and separated. So next week, please give it a good shake again before you actually start using it.
Looks like we got an incoming question.
And take note that 3 sides are exactly the same size, but the side of the door is a little bit smaller. That's why it's a good idea to draw everything out to make sure you're not going to have something too large. And to know that you're going to be filling the space with a nice composition. You've all been really good at that, filling the space. I think if there aren't any further questions, we can just sign off and everybody can,
Well, I got a couple.
oh, okay, we do have,
Here's one. We didn't have the examples. Can you show what they look like? Oh, the lanterns, I think they mean.
the actual lantern or the drawings?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's see, maybe we should change it to the
Okay, front view.
front view. Okay, do I just push later, not join audio?
Yes. like-
We are unmuted now. Can you hear us?
Somebody's unmuted, I hear. Okay, here's a summer lantern that I did. And I was gonna tell you, to get the variation of the color here, I just used a straight out of the tube for the darker purple and that really watery stain for the outside. That's how I got the variegated effect. Here's one with the hummingbird and a flower. Same thing. I put the iridescent piece in the middle of that flower. And this flower is easier than these with all the separate petals, because it's almost like the snowflake, but it's not as intricate as a snowflake. So as far as handling that glass paste, it was easier. There's another flower and
I like the.
a little bee up there.
And we've got another question. Are you going to send more glass big pieces?
I wasn't planning on sending more.
Glass?
Oh, you mean the bases? Do you mean the bases for the sun catchers and the ornaments? Are you asking if I'm gonna send more of those? Because I was not planning on it.
Okay, we're gonna find out.
So you actually have everything to complete this project right now.
Because the rest of the project is gonna be on the lamp.
The rest of the project is gonna be on the lamp, and you've been practicing on your little ornament bases and sun catcher bases.
Oh, they would like to see the paper examples as well.
Oh, okay. Is it gonna be better to,
Oh,
yeah, let's,
Cameron has a question.
Kimmer
We have
has a question.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Are you going to send more pieces of glass? Cause they are wanting more colors and different variety
I think they're
to
the-
glue onto their bases for their. lamp.
Okay. Tell me, or you know what, take a photograph of what the glass you're talking about and send it to me, because I can put something in the mail if you're short on something.
Just like the pieces that we cut, but in more
We thinking
color.
of having glass go onto here.
Yes,
So we have our lantern here
yeah.
and we're wondering,
about.
to get the design on it, are we just getting bigger pieces and gluing them on, or we're a little confused what goes on here?
The volume's turned down, so I can't really hear. Okay.
Well,
Ask
this
that
is
again,
what we
please.
have. We have these pieces. Let's see. If you can.
Okay,
Now they can't see us. What
These
happened?
aren't gonna be put in a kiln.
The whole.
well, if you're just using those as embellishments, I would think, are y'all feeling like you need some more?
Do we feel like we need more of these?
No.
Embellishments,
Because we're.
I mean, like the center of a flower or a little touch of flame on top of a candle, the eye of the bird.
So we just want we
Okay,
just want to know if there's more glass to put on.
But we have that.
Or we just do.
We're just
Oh,
using
no,
what-
we're going to glue everything onto the panels of that lantern.
Did you get that?
You're gonna make more of like
Okay.
what we did today.
Oh, so
let me put you-
if you want to send certain time, you can.
Okay. Okay, also, here's my winter lantern. This one is the glass paste with the embellishment of the irid glass right in the middle. This is the glass paste, and it doesn't have anything in the middle. And this one is actually the modeling clay with a little embellishment, a piece of the irid glass right in the middle. And then this is the glass paste snow at the base. So we're really just using little bits and pieces of the glass. The glass paste and the modeling clay is going to make up the bulk of each element. Does that make,
I think they got it.
okay.
So I have a question too. So if we use the modeling clay, we make it and then you're gonna fire that. But everything on the glass is just gonna be what we made. You don't have to do anything to the glass. Gotcha.
Yes, we don't have to, you do not have to do anything to the glass. We're not even gonna take them out of the lanterns. We're gonna make the elements that we made in the first class and the second class and glue them onto the lanterns.
And now I'm gonna give you back to the overhead and they wanna see the paper.
Okay. Okay, here's the first sample, which follows my summer lantern that I showed you. And I've made notes here. We will get you copies. If y'all don't have copies, we will get them to you. And I've made notes that this is a glass paste with just a embellishment of the arid glass in the center. And this is the body of the dragonfly, has the clay and maybe some dichroic bits on top, just like y'all made your bugs. And I like the glass paste wings. It's very simple. They don't have to be painted, but it just is a very luminescent look. So sample number 2 is another flower, but I've left the petals separated from the center. And you can feel free to just trace right over these and use these for stencils as well. And I've written a note here, watch out for the edges because you do not want your glass paste to be over this lip of the frame of your lantern because that'll be a weak spot and that'll break for sure. So just make sure everything's gonna fit inside that glass panel. Here's another one with a bird. And I know I've got several examples out there that the glass paste bird and just the glass bit for the wing. I think I made the glass triangle, yellow triangle for the beak. And I just laid it all on the fiber board and it got fired together. Another dragonfly, smaller flowers that I would do out of the glass clay with little, maybe some of the little tiny dots that you got today for the center of the flowers. And moving on to winter ideas, here's the candle, which is going to be one of my sides. This was the one I was showing y'all earlier with the flame. And I would do, if I were doing it, I would do the glass paste candle and a combination of different things for the flame. The holly berries can be your dots, and you can use the glass clay to make your detailed holly leaves. Just because we've seen those points when you're working with a glass paint, glass paste, they tend to fall off easily just in transit and getting it in and out of the kiln. So thinking about things like that, would this element be better made out of the clay or out of the glass paste? And here's one that is similar to what I've already started. And then one with just a single Christmas tree. Yes.
What were the garlands on the Christmas tree?
Oh, the garlands. My thought is to do that with texture on the glass clay. You could also do some sort of layering effect with the glass paste with the little dots or bits of glass. But yeah, this would be a y'all got so many things with beautiful textures that if you did that with the glass clay, modeling clay, and then pressed a pretty texture and then painted it so that that texture is showing, that would be very pretty. Okay, here's just a non-seasonal hearts and yin yang paisleys. And you could easily just put a single heart on each panel with a dot above and a dot below, or just a single paisley on each panel. So those are my samples that I came up with.
Oh, we have a question from Fane. Can you use the frit and the clay together, i.e. a shape out of clay with frit filling in the openings?
Can you use the frit and the clay together so that if you had an opening in the clay, you would fill it with frit? And I'd say absolutely.
Don't see any other incoming questions.
Okay, is everybody ready to sign off? Okay, remember you can contact me if you think of anything else. So thank you, everybody. Good night.